Say hello, America.
We have a moral obligation to speak out and get in good food.
Hello, you've reached Mike Belderain with Drill Tech Mining and Tunneling. If you leave your name and your number, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.
Hi, Mike. This is Julia Longoria from The Experiment. You might remember me from over a year ago. We talked about the elk you shot in the zone of death. So I'm calling you actually because The Experiment, the show, is coming to an end. And we just wanted to see if you might answer a few questions because we're figuring out how to wrap up the show. Hope you're well. Thanks. I'm Julia Longoria. This is The Experiment. And it's true. This show about our unfinished country is coming to an end. The founding idea of our show was to take a look at our strange, sometimes beautiful, and often frustrating country. We Americans have a habit of repeating the ideals of our democracy like a prayer. But in practice, as we try to bring those ideals down to earth, we have a way of making an epic mess of things.
Yeah, we're all experimenting in our lives.
Honestly, there's nothing that exhausts me like a low incline.
Oh, yeah?
It's brutal.
And over the course of the last year or so, we've traveled across the U.S. and interviewed dozens of people who are doing small versions of that experiment in their own little corner of the country.
Hello.
Hi, this is Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
I'm okay. I feel like it's been
forever.
So before we say goodbye, we decided to call back some of the people we've fallen in love with while making this show.
So, as you know, the show is ending.
Boo!
To zoom out for a second and tell us how their own version of the American experiment is going.
I've heard people, they hate the government. And I've seen people who just love the government.
We called Asina Iskil, a Uyghur refugee who came to the U.S. as a teenager, to ask her about her relationship to the country.
It's basically like a kid. A love to a country is like a love to a kid. Now, I treat the country like treating my brother. Not like blindly criticize it or not blindly love it, like compliment it, but give it the most accurate comments and try to make it a better place. So, real love to a country is correcting its mistakes. Not blindly just love it. You love it, you definitely want it to be better. As long as the parents love them and they don't leave them, and then they try to guide them to the right way.
Do you have any thoughts on what she said? What do you think of that?
Well, it's an interesting analogy comparing to a child.
I think that once upon a time, America had an ideal for itself.
And we keep talking about certain ideals with stars in our eyes almost. Think of it as something glorious and wonderful.
Do you think we're moving closer to the American ideal or further away from it?
We've become disillusioned because the country doesn't love us back. Brace yourself to be disappointed.
Yusuf Ahmed Noor served as a spiritual advisor to men on death row.
Although I am loyal to this country, and in my own way I love this country, at the same time I know the reality. Everything that glitters is not gold.
I have great fears for things that I'm seeing around the country.
That's Race Hardy, the son of a meat packer we met in Minnesota, who always carries a miniature constitution in his pocket.
You know, truth is being completely ignored. Billionaires are competing to fly up and down in space, and we have people that are allowed to restrict voting going on right now. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Even when January 6th, right, the U.S. Capitol was stormed, ransacked, I kept hearing everybody say the word sacred. You know, like the sacred building was violated. And I was thinking, sacred?
The Lutheran pastor Robin Luchahan is a dual citizen of the U.S. and Germany.
Here's where I bring my Germanness into this, right? And like all Germans, I'm raised with this deep skepticism about human ideals and government institutions and any form of glorification of that. And when I hear people talk about those great big marble buildings in Washington, D.C. as temples of democracy, I find that deeply disturbing because when we idealize all that, it becomes very difficult to critique it and move forward.
You know, especially if you're coming from a dictatorship, of course, America, the idea is great.
Jeff McElvain's brother Bobby was killed in the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
I'm a science teacher, so when I teach about evolution, we haven't been around long enough to say that, the American experiment has been proven, you know. When you talk about the survival of our species, it's very possible that humans could end up killing ourselves and decimating the planet. And even though humans are great, if you fast forward 100,000 years, it might be better to be, you know, a roach or something. Just speaking from an evolutionary standpoint.
If you were to burn it all to the ground and then rebuild it, what would you take from America as it is now, if anything?
Ashley C. Ford wrote a memoir about growing up with an incarcerated father.
I love the imagination of America, the story of what could be. But everything else can go. Everything else can go.
Do you feel optimistic about where we're headed as a country?
Well, I'm trying to have hope.
I think to get up every morning and purposefully put yourself in front of folks who do not already agree with you takes a lot of optimism.
Jolene Levid is an organizer working to protect Filipino nurses during the pandemic.
I have to believe in both people's and this country's capacity to change, or else I wouldn't be having hard conversations every day.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a less idealistic, more human and more humane and brutally honest look at our country and its institutions. That would make me feel very hopeful, because I think you can't make progress without truth.
I've definitely lately been thinking, do I need to get the hell out? Or I could just stick around and every day do a little bit more to push forward the kind of changes and the kind of progress that I would like to see available to the people around me.
Being a citizen of a country is an experiment. We strive to do better. We fail.
We might find that it's just not capable of working.
We try to figure out where things go wrong.
I feel optimistic about the situation. There might be mistakes, but I'm pretty sure we have the young generations who can fix it.
And try to make the country more perfect.
The preamble, it goes, we the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union. So how do you know when you got a perfect union?
To state the obvious, the country is never going to achieve perfection. We are far from it.
The country is the people. The people, the people. And the people are always worthy of grace. Always.
It is worth trying to do right by each other. On our last reporting trip to Minnesota, one of the families we interviewed invited us to an annual tradition they have.
Hi, how's my favorite granddaughter?
Okay, so what are they doing right now?
Where they raise pheasants from infancy.
They're letting them go, and this is where they hopefully will grow up, and survive.
And then release them into the wild.
Put him on the ground and chase him.
You're feared. Here, how about you show me how you let it go?
Am I supposed to say a prayer for him every time? You're supposed to name him.
What's this one's name?
Julia.
The experiment was co-created and hosted by me, Julia Longoria.
You got any other people you work with? Their names?
See, Catherine?
Okay, there he goes.
Oh.
Okay, who else you work with, Emily?
I dreamt up the show with Catherine Wells, Emily Botine, Alvin Melleth, and David Herman.
That makes sense.
Pulls his own
That
weight,
makes sense for him.
Oh, he spread his wings.
Yeah, that really makes sense for him.
Our team has included some of the best in the business.
Okay, that's Tracy.
Tracy Hunt.
Tracy's gonna fly high.
Holy, he's going far in life. Look at that. Who's that? Gabrielle. Or you got a nickname?
Gabby.
Gabrielle Burbet.
Natalia.
Okay.
Natalia Ramirez.
Oh, look at she's going back to the roost. Oh, look at her go. Is she a troublemaker? She is? Who else you got to work with?
Alyssa Eads, Peter Bresnan, Hannes Brown, Matt Collette, Meg Kramer, Salman Ahad Khan, Alina Coleman, Jenny Lawton, Michael May, Jennifer Munson, Joe Plord, and Kelly Prime. Our music was by Tasty Morsels, Nelson Nance, Hannes Brown, Joe Plord, and Alex Overington. Our weekly transcriptions were by Caleb Cotting. This episode was fact-checked by Sam Fentress. Our show art is by Nicolás Ortega. Special thanks to so many people at WNYC and The Atlantic for giving us the room and resources to make this show sing every week. And another special thanks to the writers for filling each week with incredible journalism. And thank you for listening.
Why would you squeeze his feet?
Now we're just carrying on with our lives. Let's go.
Oh, it just pooped.